We are getting to the end of the night. Almost everybody has left. They're cleaning up the place from the big mess you guys left. No, I'm only kidding. This is basically the end of the 10th anniversary dinner for Cornerstone. And Shannon, you are the chair. Kevin, you are the executive director.
That's right.
And now that all of the hubbub and the ranting and the racing and the scheduling and the crying and the yelling and the oh my gosh, what are we going to do now isms are done.
Malibu.
I'm going to Disney World.
Who cares about the election? Yeah.
Well, guys, we're done. Let's go. What do you think of tonight as basically the two drivers of this organization? Did it work?
I'm thrilled with the way it went off. You know, anyone who's done a dinner like this knows all the planning that goes into it, and it is a lot of planning. And it's almost like putting on a Broadway production. There's just, you got to make sure this is right and that's right, and there's so many moving parts. And we literally had people that were still registering as of 3 o'clock this afternoon that were sending me emails or phone calls saying, hey, I'm bringing a couple of more, they'll pay at the door. It was a phenomenal evening, and I couldn't have asked it to go off any better. I thought the speakers we had were just awesome. Two very different styles, but two great messages. I was very happy with it.
Shannon.
Yes, I agree. I was very pleased with the way that the evening went. And like Kevin said, New Hampshire is rather unique in the sense that we do things last minute. It is really live free or die, because even just 9 days ago, we only had about 100 people. We ended up with about 315 tonight. So, people do things at the last minute. We don't want to allow ourselves to get too stressed, because it always works out in New Hampshire. People get engaged, but people are very committed to elections right now, and they're very busy. And, we can't think beyond, our noses at this point, because we're trying so hard each and every day to maximize our time to try to move the ball forward towards victory in November.
Well, certainly, as opposed to years past, Cornerstone, through its various activities, has made a huge difference politically this year where you haven't done so in the past. A lot of people like it. You've also ticked off a lot of people. And I go, yes!
When you're effective, you do that.
Is this something that we should be looking forward to in the future here in New Hampshire, that the traditional values folks have said enough?
I think so, Skip. It's really a three-legged stool, as I've said in the past. It's education and research being one of the legs, if you will. And then you have the advocacy leg, which is the lobbying and advocating for certain pieces of policy. And then there is the accountability leg, and that is making sure that the good guys are elected and the bad guys are thrown out of office. And you really need to have all three of those components if you want to be effective. And the fact of the matter is, if we're not holding our elected officials accountable, then they're not going to vote the way we want them to vote. And so the more accountable we can make them by throwing our resources into elections, whether they be special elections or primary or general elections, we think is very vital to what we're doing.
Steve, question?
Still tired from the last.
There's only a couple of weeks left till the election. What is your short-term tactical plan for the next couple of weeks? Do you have any highlights that you want?
Or can they tell us?
Or what you can tell us.
Well,
anyways.
we certainly plan on weighing in both the state senate races and also the governor's race more. Of course, we've had an ad running on TV this week about the SB 500 bill,
right.
And we don't plan to let up on that. So I would expect more from us both in the governor's race and also in some of the state senate races as they draw to a close.
Okay. And the legislature let us down the other day by not allowing a chance to make some corrections to SB 500 to soften it a little bit.
Right.
Why do you think that is? And do you think what do you think the future of that is?
I think the only reason I can come up with is that they were afraid of losing some political capital. Quite frankly, I think they hurt themselves politically. If they wanted to do a political move, they would have been better off changing it than sticking their heels in and not doing anything. I think the Republicans gave them a lifeline when they came out and said, we made a mistake, we screwed up, we shouldn't have passed this thing the way it was passed. And they were openly admitting that. I don't know what else one side has to do to make the other side say, okay, yeah, we agree, were on board with you on this. This was an issue of public safety. It was an issue of keeping communities safe and families safe, and they dropped the ball. Governor Lynch dropped the ball. And I think in the last 2 weeks of this election, that vote on Wednesday and this issue could have serious ramifications in both legislative races and the governor's race.
In keeping with the other two folks that we interviewed, Senator Santorum, who you brought in, and Herman Cain that you brought in, both very good speakers. My question was, give me two takeaways that the audience will either see right now on the internet or when they see it later on Granite Rock. When people hear the words Cornerstone, what is it you want them to realize?
I'll give you one takeaway. I'll let Shannon give the other one. Mine would be conservative values. We heard talk tonight about Republicans and Democrats, but ultimately this comes down to conservative values, and that we're going to hold people accountable based on where they are in the issues, whether they're conservative or liberal on those issues. So whether they are Republican or whether they are Democrat, we're going to look at their voting record. And what people can say about Cornerstone is we're consistent. We're not going to compromise our values or our principles just to make nice, if you will. But we're consistent. We're going to be conservative.
And I think that the other thing is that each and every one of us can make a difference in the election, and that we have to engage in the election, and that it's not enough to just sit on the sidelines and watch Fox News and complain about the woes of the world and of our nation, but that we really need to engage and help to make the phone calls for the candidates of their choice, the pro-life, pro-family, pro-liberty loving candidates, and that they can talk about it with their friends and let people know the differences between the candidates. And people really do listen to you. Fill out a sample ballot in your town, scan it through the computer, and then email it out to all of your neighbors to tell them how to vote. And then they can follow up if they have a question about how you voted, but give them a visual. Let them know exactly who it is that they're supposed to vote for.
Well, very good. Inform and activate.
That's right.
I like
Absolutely.
those.
That's right.
And accountable. My favorite word lately, which politicians generally hate. And yet that's what we try to do. Shannon and Kevin, I want to say thank you very much at the end of a long evening for taking a couple minutes with Granite Rock. Please, as we go forward through the rest of this election cycle and past, you let us know how we here at Granite Rock can help you guys out, because we believe in the same values. We have a little different means of how we do some of this sometimes.
Many parts to the body.
Oh yeah, we upset people differently. And we would be most happy to be able to help out.
Well, thank you for what you do, Skip.
Well, thank you.
Thanks. Great event tonight.
Yes, very good. And for we lowly bloggers, thanks for sending the food over. It was good.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thanks, guys.